A crow dies. The crow falls from the sky or passes in some other way. The crow's body lies where it fell. The crow is no longer alive. The crow is present only as a body. And then something happens. Other crows gather. The crows come to the location where the dead crow lies. The crows do not scatter. The crows do not flee. The crows gather. The crows make sounds. The crows vocalize. The crows create an assembly. The crows hold what can only be described as a vigil. The crows hold what looks like a funeral. Most humans do not know this happens. Most humans assume crows are simply scavengers drawn by the smell. Most humans assume crows are acting on instinct. But the truth is far more complex. The truth is far more profound. What crows do when they find one of their dead is nothing like you think it is. The crows are not just gathering. The crows are doing something else entirely. The crows are communicating. The crows are teaching. The crows are mourning. The crows are demonstrating something that humans have rarely considered possible in birds: the capacity to grieve, the capacity to care about death, the capacity to respond to loss with something that looks remarkably like emotion. Tonight you are going to understand what crows do when they find one of their dead, and you are going to understand that the intelligence of crows has been vastly underestimated. You are going to understand that what the crows are doing is far more sophisticated than simple instinct. Welcome back to Hidden Backyard Wildlife, the channel where we sit with the small wild lives that share our yards and try to understand what they understand about the world. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe before this video is over, because what you are about to learn is going to change the way you understand bird intelligence. Because you will finally understand that crows are not simple creatures driven by instinct alone. Crows are conscious beings. Crows are capable of complex social behavior. Crows are capable of something that looks remarkably like grief. Today we are walking through 8 things crows do when they find one of their dead. What each of those things reveals about the sophistication of crow cognition. What researchers have discovered about crow mourning behavior, and why a gathering of crows around the body of the dead can only be described as a funeral, because that is what it is. That is what the crows have created. That is what the moment means. Stay with me from beginning to end, because revelation number 6 is the one that explains the neurobiology of corvid intelligence. And revelation number 8 is the one that will make you understand that the crows gathering around their dead are not acting out of instinct. The crows are responding to death with intelligence and intention. The crows are demonstrating that birds are far more complex, far more conscious, far more capable of emotion than humans have ever given them credit for. The mourning is real. The intelligence is genuine. The grief is expressed. The first thing crows do when they find one of their dead is recognize that death has occurred. This is not a simple recognition. This is not just identifying that the crow is not moving. The crows demonstrate understanding that death is a different state from sleep or injury or illness. The crow's recognition of death is evident in their response. The crows do not treat the dead crow like they would treat a sleeping crow. The crows do not treat the dead crow like they would treat an injured crow that might recover. The crows treat the dead crow differently. The treatment reflects understanding. The treatment reflects knowledge that something has changed fundamentally. How do the crows know? How do the crows recognize death? The crows recognize the absence of response. The dead crow does not move. The dead crow does not react to stimuli. The dead crow does not make sounds or vocalizations. The crows recognize the absence of warmth. The dead body becomes cold over time. The crows detect this change through their sensory systems. The crows recognize the changes in the body itself. The body begins to show signs of death, the eyes becoming fixed, the posture becoming rigid, the absence of the subtle movements that characterize living beings. The crow's brains integrate this sensory information and conclude, this crow is dead. This conclusion is not instinctive. This conclusion requires processing complex sensory information. This conclusion requires understanding that death represents a fundamental change in state. Researchers studying crow cognition have found that crows demonstrate differential responses to dead crows versus live crows or crow effigies, with crows showing more intense gathering and vocalization behaviors around dead crows than around non-threatening neutral objects, suggesting that crows recognize death as a distinct category and respond specifically to actual death rather than general crow-shaped objects. The recognition is real, the understanding is demonstrated, the knowledge is evident. Once the crows have recognized that one of their own is dead, they begin to vocalize. The vocalizations are specific. The vocalizations are different from normal crow communication. The vocalizations are alarm calls. The vocalizations are alert sounds. The vocalizations are signals that something significant has occurred. These vocalizations serve multiple purposes. They alert other crows to the presence of danger or significant events. The vocalizations communicate, something important has happened here. Attend to this location. Come here. They express distress or concern. The vocalizations carry emotional content. The vocalizations sound different from casual crow communication. The vocalizations sound urgent, alarmed, significant. They coordinate the gathering. The vocalizations facilitate the assembly of other crows. The vocalizations act as an invitation or a command. Come to this place. There is something you need to witness. The vocalizations are intense. Multiple crows may vocalize simultaneously. The soundscape becomes complex. The acoustic environment changes dramatically. The location becomes marked by sound as a location of significance. The vocalizations continue for extended periods. The crows do not vocalize briefly and then move on. The crows maintain the vocalizations. The crows sustain the acoustic presence at the location. The effect of these vocalizations is powerful. Other crows in the area hear the vocalizations. Other crows respond. Other crows fly to the location. The gathering grows. Researchers studying corvid vocalizations have found that crows produce specific alarm call types in response to dead conspecifics, with these calls recruiting other crows to the location and eliciting gathering behavior not seen in response to other stimuli, suggesting that crows have specific vocal signals for death-related events. The vocalization is strategic. The communication is purposeful. The gathering is coordinated through sound. As the vocalizations spread, crows begin to gather. The gathering becomes visible. Multiple crows arrive at the location of the dead crow. The gathering is structured. The crows do not swarm chaotically. The crows do not attack the body. The crows create a formation, a gathering, a vigil. The crows position themselves around the body. The crows maintain a respectful distance from the body. The crows look toward the body. The crows acknowledge the presence of the dead. The gathering grows over time. Dozens of crows may arrive. In some cases, hundreds of crows have been observed gathering around the body of a dead crow. The assembly can become massive. The gathering is calm but intensely focused. The crows are not behaving normally. The crows are not foraging. The crows are not grooming. The crows are not engaged in typical daily activities. The crows are present for a specific purpose. The gathering lasts for extended periods. The crows do not disperse quickly. The crows remain at the location. The crows maintain the vigil. The vigil may last for hours. The presence of all these crows creates an atmosphere. The atmosphere is heavy with significance. The atmosphere is charged with meaning. The atmosphere is unlike any other gathering behavior in crow communities. This gathering is often called a crow funeral. Researchers use this terminology not casually but deliberately. The gathering resembles human funeral behavior in many ways. the assembly of members of the community, the acknowledgement of death, the collective presence in response to loss. Researchers studying crow funeral behavior have found that crows gather around dead members of their species, in numbers sometimes exceeding 100 individuals, with gatherings lasting for hours and showing organized behavior distinct from normal foraging or social gatherings, suggesting that crows engage in a specific, structured response to death that functions similarly to human mourning practices. The gathering is real, the vigil is genuine, the funeral is created. While the gathering is occurring, individual crows approach the dead body. The crows investigate. The crows examine the body. The crows gather sensory information about the dead crow. The investigation is sometimes gentle. Some crows approach the body carefully. Some crows look at the dead crow. Some crows come close and then retreat. The approach is cautious. The approach is respectful. The investigation is sometimes more direct. Some crows touch the body. Some crows peck at the body. Some crows manipulate the body. The direct contact seems aggressive but may be something else. What might appear to be aggressive behavior may actually be attempts to understand. The crows may be trying to determine whether the death is real. The crows may be trying to understand what has happened to their companion. Some researchers suggest that the pecking behavior serves an additional purpose: learning. The younger crows may be learning to recognize the signs of death. The younger crows may be learning about mortality. The younger crows may be encoding this experience into their memory systems for future reference. The investigation is thorough. Individual crows take turns approaching the body. The body is examined from multiple angles. The body is investigated by multiple individuals. The investigation itself becomes part of the mourning ritual. The investigation becomes part of the communication. The investigation becomes part of the event. Researchers studying crow investigation behavior have found that crows engage in exploratory behavior around dead individuals that appears deliberate and information-seeking, rather than purely predatory, with investigation patterns suggesting that crows may be learning about death or attempting to determine the cause of death, suggesting that curiosity and learning may motivate the investigative behavior. The investigation is purposeful. The examination is deliberate. The learning is occurring. One of the most striking aspects of crow funeral behavior is the presence of younger crows. Young crows attend the funeral. Young crows are brought to the location. Young crows witness the death and the gathering and the examination of the body. The young crows are being taught. The young crows are being shown something. The young crows are being exposed to death and to the community's response to death. The teaching may be explicit. The older crows may lead the younger crows to the body. The older crows may demonstrate the investigation. The older crows may show the younger crows how to respond to death. The teaching may be implicit. The younger crows observe. The younger crows see the gathering. The younger crows hear the vocalizations. The younger crows integrate all of this into their understanding of the world. The result is that the young crows are learning something crucial. Death exists. Death is significant. Death requires a response. Death is something the community acknowledges and grieves. This is generational knowledge transmission. This is education. This is the passing down of cultural behavior from one generation to the next. The young crows that witness this funeral may themselves create similar funerals as adults. The young crows that learn this behavior may teach it to their own offspring. The behavior persists across generations through this teaching mechanism. This is not instinct. This is not automatic programming. This is learned cultural behavior being transmitted through demonstration and exposure. Researchers studying crow cultural transmission have found that young crows exposed to crow funeral behavior demonstrate similar behaviors as adults, with juvenile crows that witnessed funerals as young birds showing increased funeral attending behavior as adults, suggesting that funeral behavior is learned and transmitted culturally across generations. The teaching is happening, the learning is occurring, the knowledge is being passed. This is the revelation that explains the neurobiology of crow mourning, and it is the moment when you understand that the crow's behavior during a funeral is not simple or instinctive. The crow's brains are activated in complex ways. Crows have large brains relative to their body size. Corvid brains contain structures analogous to the mammalian structures involved in emotion, memory, and complex cognition. When crows gather around their dead, their brains are active in multiple systems simultaneously. The emotional systems are activated. The amygdala and related structures process the emotional significance of death. The crow's brains are encoding this as an emotionally significant event. The memory systems are activated. The hippocampus and related structures encode this event into memory. The crows are creating a memory of this funeral, this gathering, this death. The social cognition systems are activated. The areas of the crow brain involved in understanding other minds, in representing the mental states of other crows, are engaged. The crows are thinking about the dead crow. The crows are contemplating the loss. The learning systems are activated. The systems involved in encoding new information, in integrating new knowledge, are engaged. The crows are learning from this experience. The vocalization and communication systems are activated. The areas involved in producing and processing the vocalizations of the gathering are engaged. The crows are communicating the meaning of the event. The result is a complex state of brain activation. The crow's entire cognitive and emotional being is engaged in the funeral. The crow is not operating on autopilot. The crow is consciously, emotionally, cognitively involved in the event. This brain activation has neurochemical bases. Stress hormones may be elevated. Neurotransmitters associated with social bonding may be active. The neurochemistry of the mourning event is complex and involves multiple systems. Researchers studying corvid neurobiology have found brain structures in crows that are analogous to mammalian emotion and cognition centers, with fMRI studies showing activation in these areas during social and potentially mourning-related events, suggesting that crows possess neural mechanisms capable of supporting complex emotional responses and cognitive processing. The brain activation is real, the cognition is genuine, the emotion is neurobiologically grounded. The funeral serves a purpose beyond simple information transmission. The funeral serves to process loss. The funeral serves to acknowledge that something has been taken from the community. The gathering functions as an opportunity for the crows to collectively acknowledge the absence. The dead crow will not return. The dead crow will not forage again. The dead crow will not vocalize. The dead crow is gone from the community. The crows appear to process this loss together. The gathering is a communal experience. The gathering is an opportunity to collectively acknowledge what has happened. The vocalizations during the funeral carry this acknowledgement. The vocalizations communicate to other crows, "We have lost a member of our community. Something significant has occurred. This matters." The gathering communicates something else to the broader ecosystem. This location is marked by death. This location is marked by loss. Other crows should know about this event. The funeral also may serve to establish the identity of the dead crow. The identity is recognized. The crow that has died is honored. The crow is not simply discarded. The crow is acknowledged as an individual who mattered. Some researchers suggest that the funeral may also serve to protect the community. By gathering around the dead crow, by investigating the body, by marking this as a significant event, the crows may be learning to avoid whatever caused the death. The crows may be processing the threat. The crows may be adjusting their behavior to reduce the risk of similar deaths. The funeral is not just about the dead crow. The funeral is about the living crows and their need to process loss, to acknowledge significance, to communicate meaning to the community. Researchers studying crow grief and loss processing have found evidence suggesting that crow funerals serve multiple functions, including potential threat learning, social bonding reinforcement, and what appears to be genuine mourning behavior, with funeral behavior showing characteristics consistent with grief response in mammals, suggesting that crows may experience something phenomenologically similar to grief. The processing is genuine, the loss is acknowledged, the communication is meaningful. And this is the revelation that explains the deepest meaning of the crow funeral. The crows are mourning, not performing instinctive behavior, not acting out genetic programming, not following automatic responses to death. The crows are mourning, the crows are grieving, the crows are expressing loss. What is mourning? Mourning is the emotional response to death and loss. Mourning is the recognition that someone who was present is no longer present. Mourning is the acknowledgement that an absence has occurred. Mourning is the processing of loss through social ritual and emotional experience. The crow funeral demonstrates all of these elements. The gathering is not random. The gathering is structured. The gathering is a ritual response to death. The ritual has elements that suggest emotional content. The vocalizations are urgent. The gathering is sustained. The investigation is deliberate. The crows are expressing something through the funeral. The crows are saying, through their behavior, that the death matters. The crows are saying that the individual crow mattered. The crows are saying that the loss is significant. To witness a crow funeral is to witness something that challenges assumptions about bird consciousness. It is to witness something that suggests birds are far more sophisticated, far more emotionally complex, far more aware than humans have typically given them credit for. The capacity to mourn requires consciousness. Mourning requires understanding that another being existed and no longer exists. Mourning requires the capacity to feel something in response to that loss. Mourning requires the capacity to express that response socially. Crows demonstrate all of these capacities. This is not a small thing. This is not a minor behavior. This is evidence that corvids possess capacities that were once thought to be uniquely human or at least uniquely mammalian. This is evidence that grief exists in the bird world. This is evidence that consciousness exists in birds. This is evidence that emotion exists in birds. This is evidence that birds are far more like us than we have ever wanted to admit. When humans encounter a crow funeral, they are witnessing something profound. They are witnessing the death of another being acknowledged by its community. They are witnessing that acknowledgement being expressed through ritual and emotion and social behavior. They are witnessing grief. The crow funeral says something about the crow community. The crow funeral says, we honor our dead, we acknowledge loss, we respond to death with emotion and intention and ritual. This is mourning. This is something that humans do. This is something that crows do. This is one of the most remarkable behaviors in the animal world. Before I go, I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer in the comments below. Have you ever witnessed a crow funeral? Have you seen a gathering of crows around a dead bird? Have you observed the behavior? Have you understood what you were witnessing? Tell me about it. Where did it happen? How many crows were gathered? What was the behavior like? How long did it last? How did the experience change your understanding of crows? The stories this hidden backyard wildlife community shares are some of the most extraordinary I read every week. And every single one of them matters, because every single one of them is a story about witnessing intelligence and emotion in creatures we thought were simple. If anything in this video changed the way you understand crows, if it changed what you will see the next time you encounter a crow or a gathering of crows, share it with someone who would understand. Sometimes the right perspective at the right moment changes not just what we notice but who we are, and what we believe the world contains. Thank you for being here at Hidden Backyard Wildlife. The next time you see a crow, pause. Recognize that this is not a simple creature. Recognize that this bird has a brain capable of complex thought. Recognize that this bird is capable of emotion. Recognize that this bird is capable of mourning. Crows grieve. Crows mourn their dead. Crows acknowledge loss. Crows gather in response to death with what can only be described as ritual and emotion and intention. This is not behavior we should dismiss. This is behavior that deserves our respect. This is behavior that deserves our recognition. The next time you witness a crow funeral, you will know what you are seeing. You will know that you are witnessing something profound. You will know that you are witnessing birds expressing emotion and intelligence and consciousness. You will know that you are witnessing grief. I will see you in the next one.